Okay, do a quick video here on some new gear I've acquired, and some of it I really like, some of it I like okay, and none of it I don't like at all. Of course, new gear is always fun, so just some new stuff that I've acquired. Start with this, probably one of the coolest things I've acquired, the Fenix LD 20, available on Amazon. Tons of reviews on this. Again, to me it's a mini mag replacement, better quality, waterproof. For the price, it is an expensive light, but get what you pay for. Everybody gives it great reviews. What can I say? So I'm using it. I got the headband kit. That was 20 bucks, kind of expensive for a headband. What I don't like about it isn't quite as comfortable as a dedicated headlamp, in my opinion. It is kind of a hassle to take this and unscrew this when you want to put it in, for headlamp use. I mean, it's a good quality headband as far as headbands go, but this is kind of a hassle to do every night and every morning when you want to put it back into your holster, so to speak. But it does work. It's completely adjustable. You actually get two of these with it if you'd want. And you get this cool waterproof battery holder here, extra battery holder that you can put on the headband or just stick in your pack. So these just screw out, and there's the batteries in there. I don't know what makes them stick in there a little bit, so I got a pair of lithium batteries in there. One of the things that I'm kind of concerned with on the Fenix LD 20 is the battery life. Even on low, the most you're going to get is 90 hours according to the specs with lithium batteries. Whereas with my Black Diamond here, which takes 3 AA's instead of the 2 AA's that are in there, I can get over 150 hours on low, and here's my low LEDs. This is really easy to use. I will say one of the things I've had, and I've contacted Black Diamond warranty. I don't know if you can see that. I'll switch it here quick to macro mode. It's cracked right there, and you could say it's because I over tightened the screw. I'm pretty careful with that kind of stuff. I realize that plastic cracks, so there is a little hairline crack right there. So there it is. Hopefully you can see that bouncing around here, but there is a little hairline crack. That's completely, I'll call it user replaceable, because there's nothing else that's attached to. It slips out of these little split rings here. So we'll see if we can get a new one of those, under warranty, so to speak, without sending the whole thing in. It's a good headlamp. I must say, if I was going on a hike, I'd probably take both. I really like the Black Diamond Icon headlamp. A lot of versatility there. Again, with the Fenix, I got the accessory kit with these wands, so you get a little light diffuser, a little red safety cone, a little red save your night vision. This I really like. It's nice for nighttime because it's not so bright on your eyes, so I do really like this. This I'll take with me on all kinds of trips. And a little diffuser, which, I don't know, plastic, kind of hokey if you ask me. I think of the whole kit, this is the one thing that's kind of worth it. Alright, moving on here. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. This is a 1-point glacier flask. Looks kind of funny if you try and drink that out in public, because everybody thinks you're taking a nip of the old hard stuff, which I don't even drink. So I use it for water, but I like it. Also picked up a baking pan, a Paderno baking pan. This is the 6 1/4 inch model, and this will be used as a frying pan. And it weighs 6.1 ounces, so this is my new frying pan when I'm out in the field. Here's my Trangia pot lifter, so that works on there because there's a little lip where I can go ahead and go with the more traditional pot holder, or just use a vice grips on there, my Leatherman Crunch vice grips. This is steel, so I don't know what kind of coating it's on, but it's some kind of carbon steel. I'm sure the coating will kind of chip, but it's not a non-stick coating, as far as I know. At least I hope it's not. That's one of the reasons I got. I don't like those Teflon non-stick coatings. Okay, little backpacking grill here. Again, weighs a little bit. This isn't for ultralight backpacking. This is for, base camp type backpacking, but just a nice little grill there. new Gorilla Pod. Right? Okay, so here's a Gorilla Pod. This is the video cam version. It's got little magnets on there. Nice, works. And I just wanted to kind of give a, here's that solar shower. Hopefully you can see that. If that's in frame or not in frame here. So here's that solar shower. I tried that out. Again, you know, I'm a big believer in trying out your gear. Try out all your gear. Here's the problem. Two problems with this, other than it's just kind of cheap plastic, which we all know that wouldn't last a long time. One is, and it's not a design problem, but you just got to realize that that's 5 gallons of water, 40 pounds. You got to lift that above your head, well above your head, and you got to tie it off on something. That's a major problem. Unless you're going to be sitting on the ground while you're taking that, you got to lift that, you know, almost 10 feet above your head. So have some kind of a lashing system. I'm using a bungee cord right here, but I'd use a, you know, bungee cord and a safety pulley to get that up on a tree really high and be able to stand under it, because you got to be able to stand under it. Here's one of those chamois, knockoff chamois towels, right? I think that's a good addition. Okay, here is a design flaw, and it's just due to the cheapness. I mean, these things are like $5 at Walmart or whatever, $8. They include a very cheap plastic hose that I think I cut this one off that attaches from here to here. Maybe this was the whole thing, right? So it's a very cheap single walled plastic hose. Get in zoom macro mode here again, so hopefully you can see that. Alright, here's the problem. You're in there and you're using this nozzle, right, and all that kind of stuff, and guess what happens? Kink, and no water comes out. So this thing is virtually useless. So what I did was I went and got, or I had in the basement, some water supply line. Still single wall, but a lot thicker, right? I went and got that, and I had to heat it up a little bit, use a multi-step bit to get it in here, force it onto this end, force it onto that end. This valve is also pretty cheap. I mean, it would not last years and years, but it works. And now I have a flexible hose that does not kink. I mean, of course I can kink if I want to, but there's some kind of plastic braiding in here. So again, trying out your gear, I tried it out, found out it works, but that part does not work. Just is nothing but hassle. You know, sprinkler can shower time. This works very well. Keeps bendable, you know, we're good there. Just one other little shout out here. You know, I love my Trangia. I try and cook everything on my Trangia because, you know, it's light, it's compact, can go with you everywhere, but it takes the denatured alcohol. It is an open flame with something that can spill. Believe it or not, I have spilled it, and you spill it in the wrong place. You know, alcohol wipes up and evaporates pretty quickly, but, you know, you'll melt nylon and plastic in just a second. So I've been just thinking about propane. I picked this propane stove up for $3.50 at a second-hand shop. This is the Century brand, but Tech Sport, Stan Sport, I mean, I think they're all basically the same brands. Get a propane tank here. Here's a propane tank. It of course screws right on there. It would be hard to use this with a 20-pound cylinder with the hose. Weighs quite a bit, you know, of course that all weighs over 2 pounds right there, probably 2.5 pounds, so it's not backpacking, but cooking with propane to me is like cooking with natural gas. It's relatively safe, it's relatively available, and pocket rockets and all those little isobutane or isopropane things are great, don't get me wrong, but this stuff is really cheap to acquire. That was like, say, $3.50. And of course you've seen that I got this for $16 on Amazon, and it works really well. So just some gear, some thoughts, nothing big, try and keep it brief. Thanks.